I created direct fitment fog lights for first generation Sequoias and Tundras, and this is exactly how I did it. First generation Sequoia fog lights. Now for those of you that don't know, I recently launched some direct fitment fog lights for the 4th generation 4Runner, and I had a lot of people reaching out to me asking when will these be available for the first generation Sequoia and Tundra. So that's what we're going to be tackling today. I have here the fog light off of my 2006 Sequoia, and the aim is to get this into a 3D model and then start creating a prototype for the first generation Sequoia and Tundra. The light is going to be the same style of direct fitment plug and play, just make it really easy to be installed. So I am super excited to take on this new project, this new challenge. I really think that this is going to be something that a lot of people are looking for. So let's start designing this light. So pretty quickly we were able to spin up a 3D model and then 3D print the product, and from there we went to town with the reciprocating saw. Now the reason there is such a huge mess is that we had to take the original file, print it out, get it in the physical, and then from there cut and modify and see exactly what we needed to change within the 3D model to make this fog light pod fit in the housing. Now it does look pretty rough because that reciprocating saw ate through a lot of the light housing itself, but this step was necessary in order to create correct fitment and have it fit into the bumper. Now if you don't recognize these LED light pods from previous videos, I did design these a few months ago. Now these lights were designed with high quality in mind. They're built to last. They're full metal CNC powder coated design. They're also waterproof, weatherproof, and built for the long term. So armed with a chopped up prototype, we were able to take some new measurements and make the correct changes within the 3D design software. And this allowed us to come up with a second prototype that put us one step closer to the final product. What happened was we ended up deciding that we wanted to push the light flush with the face of the fog light itself, and so that required a little bit of modification, but this is the newest version. Now of course this is a pretty far away from being done. We still have a lot of fitment issues to iron out, especially in this area. But what we did end up doing was pushing it so it's pretty near flush on the front here. It looks very OEM. We also had to expand the back just a tiny bit right here in order to fit the fog light pod, but things are coming along nicely, and a few more prototypes and we should be headed in the right direction. So back to the drawing board we went. Now there are literally hours of 3D design content on here, but I'm not going to bore you with that, so let's move on to the next prototype. For the next prototype, we started with printing just the face of the fog light itself. That way we could get the fitment of the light within the Sequoia fog light 100% correct. And then once we figured that out, we moved on to adding the face to the fog body itself. Now we're still keeping that back open just so we can see inside the light and make sure everything is snug and secure. So with this newest prototype, we were able to have the fog light sit snug and flush within the housing itself. And this was really the point where we decided that it was time to go walk out and try this out in the Sequoia. At this point, I was super excited to finally have a tried and true prototype test on my Sequoia. So I went outside, popped out the old fog light, and put the new one in. And this is how it turned out with the newest set of design improvements. While this version of the light was still a pretty good ways off from the final product, it was great to see the light actually installed on the vehicle, and I also teased it on Instagram where a lot of people really like the design. Alright, so I'm back with the Sequoia and we are again working on these fog lights. Now what I've been doing is I did crawl up under the car and I actually removed this little trim piece right here. Kind of hard to see, but I pulled this down in order to give me the back view of the fog lights, and what that did was it allowed me to make sure everything was fitting correctly, because not only do we want it to fit nice in the front, but we also want it to sit flush within the bumper. That way it doesn't move around and it shines a steady beam on the road. So we're back in SolidWorks working on this model now. The thing about 3D modeling is that the last little bit of corrections does take some of the longest amount of time to iron out. And of course that's what we're having to do here. So we have added little things like this piece right here that helps with stability and fitment, as well as we had to extend these little things on the outside right here, just literally like a tiny bit, but this will help with sliding into the bumper and staying more solid. So it's just little things like that that we have to kind of test and look out for, because of course this is my debut fog light for the Sequoia and I want it to look as good as possible and perform beyond expectations. So that's really what we've been doing. It's kind of taking longer than expected, but we're gonna get it worked out and keep on moving. So after those final design improvements, we were ready for the final assembly. Now let me take this time to tell you about the light. First, the shell is an ASA 3D printed material with a ceramic coating. This holds up exceptionally well to the elements. Now, assembled is the light. It does have a direct plug that plugs right into the Sequoia's existing wiring harness. And then the light fits into the housing by these two stainless steel screws on the sides. These screws, of course, are not going to rust. And this design overall is just made to last a long time, fit extremely well, and be an overall quality product, which is something I stand by for my company and my products. It's currently 11:04 p.m. on Thursday, August 8th. And I have just completed the final assembly of my product. Now I'm sure you just watched some video footage of exactly how I did it, and I am super happy with how it turned out. Now let's put it on the car. So I went ahead and installed the lights the next morning. Now I will be dropping a more in-depth installation video showing you exactly how I put them in, but this installation is plug and play direct fitment, so it literally takes like 5 minutes. But anyways, just did the front right side, the driver's side, and I put a yellow one on, and then I put a white one on the passenger side just for the heck of it. And this is a little driveway before and after shot. Now the more cinematic shots are coming later in the video, but I wanted to document what they looked like right after I installed them. It's now time for the point in the video you guys have all been waiting for. We have some clips of the finished product, both during the day as well as an extensive video test of the lights at night. So check these out. Alrighty guys, so that about wraps up the journey that I went through to create these first generation Sequoia and Tundra fog lights. Just a reminder, if you want to get this upgrade or many others like it for your vehicle, check out the link in the description of this video or trailrunnercustoms.com. As always, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.